The truth about success in music, it's not what you think. Because here's the deal. It's not just about talent. People on the outside see the big stages, the crowds, and the highlights, but they don't see the years of struggle, the financial ups and downs, and the mental and physical toll of chasing this dream. Now, it's all about talent versus perseverance. There are tons of insanely talented musicians on any instrument all across the world. And then there are others with other less, raw talent, but have relentless drive to build a career. Why? Because perseverance, adaptability, and showing up consistently matter more than talent alone. You could spend all of your time practicing scales and mastering riffs and being able to play over different types of music and spend all of your time focusing on being great and wonder why is no one scooping me out of obscurity? Why don't I have a great gig and this other guy does? Why am I not making tons of money? Because, man, talent is not only it. Perseverance is a huge part of making it. And man, I've got a lot of friends. I've learned this the hard way. It took me many decades in the music business to realize it doesn't matter how great I played on the gig last night. Yeah, that's nice, and the people appreciate it, and the audience you might get a little extra applause. But, the reality is those that work the phones, those that network, those that connect with other musicians, they're the ones that are going to get the calls for those big opportunities, those writers sessions, getting on a writing session with other writers that are very successful. That takes work. That takes, perseverance. That takes social skills, and not just social media skills. Social media skills could be a whole nother category, and that is very important as well. I think you could probably take incredible talent and then have really good social media skills. And I think these days you can make something with those two things. But if you only focus on the playing, there's a good chance you could remain in obscurity for the rest of your career. Networking is everything. You could be the best guitarist, singer, or producer in the world, but if you're not building relationships with the right people, you'll get left behind. The industry is built on who you know and how to cultivate meaningful connections. Now look, you can't just approach a big time producer and say, I've got this great song and try to take. You've got to learn how to maneuver in relationships, complimenting somebody on their work, offering to help them, offering to be an apprentice, offering to, do things for this person, and learning about that person. That is a social skill that many people don't realize. It's not about you. It's about talking to that person, making a connection, learning about them so that they feel good when you're in the room. You're able to have a conversation with this person and you're able to connect with them. It's all about connection and meaningful connections, friendships, create friendships. That would be probably the biggest, point that I could make is create friendships with people who can help you. And that is probably more important than all the chops in the world. Now, there is a financial reality. There is the myth of overnight success. And hey, it can happen to some people, You could be in the right place at the right time and something could happen, or you could get a great gig opportunity and be in the right place. But That is largely a myth, and even established musicians still struggle financially. It's a grind, man. It is a forever grind, and you know what? Not everybody is made for this business. Not everybody can handle the ups and downs of financial reality of being a musician, of being a creator, of being a producer, all of those things, because you're going to have your highs and you're going to have your lows. And you're going to have moments where you're not sure that you're, going to be able to make ends meet, and you're going to have to deal with this. Now, there's a difference between being a signed artist, a session musician, a gigging guitarist, or an independent artist, and the financial highs and lows are different from each. I mean, being a signed artist, you've got the backing of a label behind you, and they can support you potentially in your recording or different things that you're doing, and could be paying you a salary of some sort to work on your product. But look, all of that money that they're giving you to work with, you're eventually going to owe that. So if you do have some success, if you do make them money, most of that money that you've gotten during those lean times where you were developing your product, all of that is going to have to get recouped before you're ever going to see a dime. So that's another financial low that you could potentially be facing. And it is a very real thing. A session musician, I mean, they live and die by sessions. And you obviously have to be somewhere where there are lots of recording sessions. Now, that world has changed a lot over time. There used to be, a big session scene in LA, and I'm sure there is still to some extent, but it's way different from the days of Tommy Tedesco or Larry Carlton or Lee Ritenour or any of those iconic, session players in the past. It's a very real struggle because it's a tough thing to break into. Not every great player is a great session musician. It's a different set of skills, being able to go in a studio, navigate, dealing with the producer, dealing with the artist, playing the right part on the spot. A lot of people like to say that it's easy to be a session musician. It is not. It is not just going in. They think, oh, a Nashville session is easy. Let me tell you something. It is very difficult because it's not just playing chugging eighth notes. I mean, sometimes you might do that, but man, people want creative parts, and you've got to make very cool creative parts out of sometimes songs that might only have four chords in the whole song. So that is not easy. And imagine having seconds, hearing the song, writing out a quick number chart, and having seconds for coming up with a signature part to make this a great song. The pressure is very great, and it is not an easy thing to do. I'd like to, people who have not done it, have not done a Nashville session, often think it is easy. I think it would be a good experiment to take a room full of these people that think the Nashville session is easy and put them in the hot seat, put them in a room, play them a crappy demo, and make them write out a number chart, and then go in the room and make magic. The end result might not be exactly what they think it is, because it's really not that easy. And man, you can have periods where there's not a lot of calls. Your phone might not be ringing, and there's a lot of changes in that industry. So that can be a tough thing to navigate and be in. A gigging guitarist is a whole nother thing, man. Living and dying by your calendar. And I'd say session musicians are the same thing. What do I mean by that? Having a calendar, writing down your gigs. And, if you're a guy who does a little bit of everything, You might have 1 or 2 sessions a month. You might have demo sessions or different things. And then throughout the month, your Fridays and Saturdays, those should be pretty much automatic. You should be playing, every Friday and Saturday. And then the rest of the week, you've got to figure out what to do. Do you teach lessons? Do you do social media? Do you do different things to try to have different income streams? Because these days, gigging a guitarist, you've got to be somewhere where there's a lot of gigs. You can't expect to do this in a small town where there's only one bar. Being a gigging guitarist in a place like that would be playing that one place every weekend. And I guess, you could do all right, but man, you need to be somewhere where you can do lots of different gigs, and don't put all your eggs in one band. Be the first or second call guy for a few different bands, and that's going to ensure that you'll probably be able to fill out that calendar. And if you do put all of your eggs in one band and then that band falls apart or breaks apart, or something happens and the club doesn't want to book them anymore, then you're pretty much out of luck. And that can be a very tough thing to deal with. Being an independent artist, that has even more challenges. And I know a lot of people say, I don't want to play cover songs and I just want to write my own songs and all that. Man, you're talking about playing writers' nights. I've never experienced anybody getting paid for a writer's night. Usually people do those for free. Then you've got to try to market your own music, record your own music, and try and get it out there. That is not an easy grind, and you better learn to master social media, because these days, unless you've got a record deal, that's the only way to market your music. So, that might not even be a way that you could even support yourself being an independent artist. I think a lot of musicians will dip their toe in a lot of different things. Like a lot of guys will be a session musician part of the time, a gigging guitarist part of the time, and also be an independent artist. If you can be all three of those things, then you've got a greater chance of one of those things taking off. The reality is this: the hustle never stops. Even the legends are always working, and especially nowadays where there's no, hardly any royalties from sales. You're not selling albums, you're not selling CDs, you're not selling cassettes. So even the legends are always working. They're reinventing themselves and grinding to stay relevant. Success isn't a destination, it's an ongoing process. Some of the biggest names in music never stop learning, networking, and pushing forward. And I know, I don't have to really name names on this, but you can tell the ones that are still out there doing it. A lot of people have found YouTube or social media, and they're moving their whole business model into that. Because, man, what do you do in LA? If you were a session guitar player, you were a big name session player, but those decades are long time ago. And now you've got to find a way to stay relevant. Social media would be the way, talking about your experiences, showing how you came up with parts. Does this sound like somebody we know on YouTube? Let me know if you know who I'm talking about in the comments. There's a lot of players that are doing that. And the reason they're doing that is because you've got to change. You've got to be able to adapt. You've got to be able to find the next direction to go in. Now, there is a mental and physical toll. You can be under a lot of stress being a musician. You can get burnout. And I've talked about many times on my channel mental health struggles that musicians face. The constant pressure to stay relevant, book gigs, and compete can take a toll. Man, it can very easy to, see a slow month. And we used to call it in Nashville January and February, because if you relied on high dollar corporate gigs on the weekends and stuff like that, man, they were just non-existent in those months. Everybody had gotten through the Christmas season. You played your Christmas parties. There was no weddings. There's none of that high dollar, corporate style work. And so you've got to be prepared for those slow months. Now that doesn't mean that every January and every February would be slow. Some you would see that, hey, I've got other things going here, and maybe I picked up a tour and I'm doing that for a while. I mean, here's the thing. I tell people this. I would tell you this. Learn to not worry. Learn to always have some money sacked away. Learn to have a few extra guitars that you maybe buy in when you're on an upswing, and that maybe if you hit a downswing, you might have to sell a couple of guitars. That was something that I learned to do over the years, is buy something that I found at a low price and then later resell it at a higher price, or wait a few years when it had increased in value and then sell it then. Keeping an eye on the guitar market, things like that can help you get through in those lean times. But you got to stay grounded. Even if you find some success, stay grounded. Realize that this could be temporary. It could all go away in a flash. Take care of yourself and balance passion with well-being. The highs, the lows, the struggles, the lessons you learned, these are all valuable things. I mean, the highs can teach you a lot. Learning, what not to do, perhaps, because it's very easy to, be at that peak and have everything going well and thinking it's going to last forever. It's not. It doesn't. I don't care how big you get. There's always that rise up, and it just depends on how long you can stay at that point. But eventually, it's always going to turn down and go down. Now it could go down very quickly. I've seen people, touring acts, go down and just a steep drop off, and it's over. It's over. They tell them, we can't book any more gigs. You're not getting any more songs on the radio. We can't book you anymore. And you could, opt to go to a different booking agent and try to get on crappier buses and play crappier gigs. Or you could just say, hey, let's fold for a while and try and reinvent ourselves and do something else for a little bit, just to clear the head and try to figure out what path that you need to go on. It can be very tough to navigate. It can be tough to reinvent yourself. And, it doesn't get any easier as you age. When you're young, it's easy to bounce back. It's easy to deal with hard times. But man, when you get older, you need more things. You need more comfort. And, it's really important to realize that success isn't just about raw talent. It's about resilience, adaptability, relationships, and mindset. You have to love the process, not just the end goal. If you can do that, you're already ahead of the game.